So according to Google, my net worth is higher than yours. So how does it make you feel to know that Google could be so wrong?
I don't know if that is true or not.
It's definitely not true. But let's talk about something fun, like the most common reason for divorce, money. Anyone who says they don't care about money is lying to you. You've probably heard that money doesn't buy happiness. It's the root of all evil. Every bad guy in every movie has money, most of them. Yet it is the lack of money that leads to most of our problems and a lot of stress and divorce, and you literally trade the best part of most days of your week for money. So it's really actually super important. The truth is that money rules our lives. If you don't believe me, try to take a month off. Try to take a year off of work. Try to take any amount of time off earning money, and you will realize how important it is. Minimalism has improved my life in so many different areas, but there's this, I think, misconception commonly that minimalism is for wealthy people. It's an expensive thing. This might come from this idea of less but better, where you're buying more expensive things that ideally would last longer, but it seems like it costs more money up front. So I decided to ask Matt while we were on a call the other day if minimalism has actually improved his finances. And if so, how?
The best thing that minimalism can do when it comes to your personal finances is avoiding lifestyle creep. Because I think you make that switch once you realize, oh, like this, there's a certain amount of stuff, there's a certain size of home that will make you happy, that is enough. And once you realize what that is, you can kind of detach from that typical lifestyle creep of always wanting to upgrade, always wanting it to improve, which is naturally going to see yourself, spending more money. And so, yeah, 100%. Like the intentionality of understanding what actually brings you value and joy. I love Ramit Sethi, and he always talks about what does your rich life look like? It doesn't mean that you don't have nice things and you don't own like a leather couch. It means that you're intentional about the things you do spend money on. And so if shoes aren't important to you, then you're not gonna spend tens of thousands of dollars every year, or, I don't know how much money people spend on shoes, but you're not gonna be spending a ton of money on shoes because you just don't care about it. So you'll have like a couple pairs of sneakers and that's it. And so 100% it's gonna let you, save more money and be more well off in the end.
I feel like that leads to the question of what is important to you? And are our actions right now aligned with those things that are important to us? Recently, I actually went through and looked at some of my previous spending over the past couple months, just going into my credit card statements, reading line for line. And I realized that the things that are most important to me are not the things that I was spending my money on. I feel like this is really common for most people. We spend money impulse buying stuff on things to impress people, on like self-therapy to make us feel better when we're bored, when we're depressed, when we're lonely. We go with spending money to be the answer to those. Even when we're out of shape sometimes, instead of eating right and exercising, we go and spend money on buying a home gym, buying a personal trainer, getting these expensive meal plans, when controlling your weight and getting healthy is extremely, extremely simple, but it also involves some personal responsibility. We spend money on what our ideal self or our future self think will make us happy. It's on the travel that we see all over Instagram. It's on the new car that we see on TV. It's the newest tech, the newest gadget, the thing that's cool that your friend has. After that initial dopamine hit of like, oh, this is really cool, let me show my friends, like a week later, it's exactly what you had before. And that is the trap and the lie that we all fall down. It's this place of diminishing returns. At a certain point, money can improve your life. Let's look at a house. When you move from something small to something bigger, which I've done recently, it has actually improved my life. We have more room inside where we can each have our own bedrooms. I can have an office. But then there's this point where lifestyle inflation actually hurts us. If we go to a bigger house, then it's gonna cost more money, it's gonna have more taxes, more upkeep. So the more I have, the less I get to enjoy it because I have to work more in order to pay for it, and then I have more time cleaning it, might have to hire a housekeeper. It's this idea that the more money we make, the more money we spend, and then we have to earn more money to pay for the things that we got because we're earning more money, and we actually get less freedom, less enjoyment out of our lives. And that's one of the key ideas of minimalism that has really improved my life, that once you get to a certain point, there's no more stuff that you need to buy. Once you have a wardrobe, you no longer shop because you're good for the next however many years until those clothes break. You no longer upgrade unless it will actually improve your life. And while it might seem more expensive at the beginning, for me, like 4 or 5 years into this, I realized this idea of less but better has saved me thousands and thousands of dollars. I feel like minimalism can also change how you invest. So I did ask Matt how it has changed his relationship with investing and his finances. Now, before I get into investing, something that I've done recently to save money is actually just try to spend less on things that don't matter to me like at all. One of those things is having a name brand phone plan. I recently switched to Helium Mobile and it's $20 a month, which is like as cheap as you can get pretty much for a phone plan with unlimited everything. And for the past month or two, I have noticed zero difference besides the amount of money that I have saved from changing. Based on the average of spending $157 in 2023, you could save like $1,600 a year by switching to Helium. And that's why I've already recommended it to some friends and family members. And people are sometimes dubious of switching to like lesser known brands, but I'm just letting you know, I've used it for a couple of months. I've noticed zero difference. It's been really solid. A lot of people are using them. They use T-Mobile's 5G towers. They just don't have like storefronts, so they just don't have as many expenses. So if you want to check them out, go to hellohelium.com and use the code Gabe. You can get a 30-day free trial. You'll see that it's no different. There's a link below, code Gabe. Well, let's go back to Matt.
I don't always optimize for financial return. I think when you see a lot of financial experts online, it's always about trying to get the greatest return on every dollar that you have. I love the book, The Psychology of Money, and in it he talks about how he does things that are usually a lot of times contrary to what is popular public opinion for personal finance experts. And one of them was owning his house outright in cash. And you could probably get a much better return on your investment if you put that money into the stock market. But the safety and security and the freedom that he gets from knowing that his house is owned is so much more valuable to him. And so I think when we think about like the emotional toll and the emotional impact of money and how it can help us live a life that's a bit more flexible, a bit more free, allows us to make easier decisions, pick up, move across the country if we want to. I think those things are super important. Likewise, I don't have 20 credit cards because I'm trying to keep things as simple as possible. And yeah, if you optimize and you had 10 different credit cards and you game the point system, you'd be able to go on 5 free flights every year. But the amount of time and energy, as well as the overhead of thinking about paying off all these bills, is just not worth it for me. And so I think you don't always have to focus on getting the greatest financial return for every dollar that you have.
I'm not gonna lie, when Matt first said that, I did think it sounded like someone who had money and therefore they didn't have to worry about it as much. But then I realized that he couldn't have been more right. And it's proven by statistics that generally the simplest forms of investing are the best forms of investing for most people. I read this book called A Simple Path to Wealth, which completely changed how I was investing. And he talked about how most people who try to pick their own stocks end up losing money. And most actively managed mutual funds actually underperform the market. But just investing in low-cost index funds, which is the most basic, boring, simple thing that you can possibly do when it comes to investing, is generally going to be the best approach for most people. And it doesn't involve looking at the markets every single day. It doesn't involve picking stocks and researching stuff and spending tons of time. It's just simply investing for a long period of time in something that you don't need to understand. That's going to be the best approach for most people. It does come down to a balance of finding actual good returns on your money and still having freedom to enjoy that money without always stressing about it and checking in on it every day because you're invested for the long term. For me, I personally think the best way you can invest is into yourself or into your business because that's generally going to be the highest ROI that's possible. But if you don't have a business, this is probably the best approach for most people. I really appreciate Matt taking the time to talk to me. If you guys want to check out more of his stuff, I'll leave a link below. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more, check out this video right here on how minimalism actually made me rich and a couple of habits that did that. I think it's very good. And I'll see you next week. Also, you can check out Matt's channel. It's linked down below.